Rollercoaster Gophers. Hi, I'm Lauren Shehadi and welcome to the Insight Bowl preview. One of college football's best stories this year has to be the quick turnaround of the Golden Gophers, at least through October. Through the first 8 games of the season, Minnesota was 7-1 and in the top 25. Unfortunately, November arrived and the free fall began. The Gophers lost 4 straight, didn't give the Metrodome a send-off they envisioned, losing 55-0 to Iowa. That is not fun. That new on-campus stadium can't arrive fast enough. Still a good year considering the team was 1-11 just last season. But before they move on to the 2009 season, they get a date with the Kansas Jayhawks in Tempe on New Year's Eve. Coming off an Orange Bowl loss to Virginia Tech last season, the Jayhawks found themselves competing in a Big 12 that's arguably tougher than it's ever been before. Mark Mangino's team went 7-5 to give you an idea of how tough of a run Kansas had. Here are 3 teams that they lost to. They lost to Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas Tech. Speaking of those teams, thanks to the season that Sam Bradford, Colt McCoy, and Graham Harrell have had, Jayhawks QB Todd Reesing's numbers have gone unnoticed. They are still very impressive, guys. 32 total touchdowns, 28 of those by air, 4 on the ground, and through just 12 interceptions. He passed for 375 yards, 4 touchdowns in Kansas's upset win over Mizzou in the border war to end this season. And now we bring in our college football columnist, Dennis Dodd, first looking at who Kansas has to face the Gophers. Coach Tim Brewster, in his second season, has really made strides, Dennis, but Minnesota hasn't won since October. What happened?
Well, basically their 0-4 finish coincided with the ankle injury, sprained ankle of their best receiver, Eric Decker. Up until that point, he was a Biletnikoff, not only finalist, but I think favorite at that point, leading the Big Ten in receiving. He did come back in November, but by then it was too late, and Minnesota had already started spiraling down. I think, but anything's an improvement. Over 1-11 last year, 7-5 is not bad, and in fact, credit the power of the Big Ten in getting the Gophers to the postseason this high. The Insight's a pretty good bowl after a 7-5 season.
Well, on the other side, Kansas lost some talented players to graduation and to the draft, Dennis, including Aqib Talib, and had to go up against the Big 12. This finish by the Jayhawks was expected, right?
Yeah, it was. They've melted down a little bit from last year, but no one thought they were going to be 12-1 this year. They come in on an uptick, as you mentioned, after the big win against Missouri and Kansas City. But they were beat up towards the end of the season. I mean, they were running on fumes. There were injuries. I didn't think they had very many players that were healthy. It showed. Todd Reesing was just physically beat up just from taking so many hits. He runs around as the focal point of the offense. That's why they weren't playing very well at the end of the season. But they had 2 weeks off before that Missouri game, and then they go into the bowl game on a run. You're going to see a lot of Todd Reesing. You mentioned he's going to run around and throw it mostly to Desmond Briscoe, who's one of the better unknown receivers in the country. I mentioned how tired Kansas was at the end of the season. Kansas gave up 225 points in its last 5 games, but Minnesota gave up 143 in its last 4, and it's 104th in the country in rushing.
So tell me who you like as the winner, Dennis.
I think Kansas, coming in, I think they have nothing to lose. I think they're the overall better team. I like Mark Mangino's coaching ability and just the fact that they're rested up. Going against a team that really finished the season bad the last month, you've got to like the little momentum that Kansas has created.
Dennis Dodd, our college football columnist, thanks for your time.
You bet.
CBSSports.com is the place to be for everything college football. You don't want to miss out. I'm Lauren Shehadi.